Have you ever heard of the Bell Witch, a tale filled with horror and mystery that has been passed down through generations? This chilling narrative originates from the heart of Adams, Tennessee, where the Bell family once resided. The year was 1817, a year that would forever change the lives of the Bells, marking the beginning of a series of inexplicable and eerie events. This is the story of the Bell Witch, a tale that still haunts us to this day. Join me as we unravel the terrifying tale of the Bell Witch. The Bell family, led by John Bell, was a prominent family in their community when strange events began to unfold. John Bell, a prosperous farmer, had moved his family from North Carolina to Adams, Tennessee, in the early 19th century. His wife, Lucy, and their children were well respected in their new home, their prosperity and good standing evident in the sprawling farmland they owned. But beneath the veneer of prosperity, something far more sinister began to stir. The first signs of the inexplicable were subtle, almost dismissible. It began with peculiar noises echoing from within the walls of their home. The sounds were untraceable, a constant reminder of an unseen presence. It was as if an invisible creature with gnashing teeth was gnawing at the very fabric of their existence. As days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences escalated. The gnawing sounds grew louder, more persistent. It was as if the walls of their home had become a living entity, a cacophony of inexplicable noises echoing throughout their once peaceful abode. But the disturbances were not confined to these unsettling sounds. They were merely the opening act of a horrifying spectacle that would soon unfold. The whispers came next, soft at first, like the rustling of leaves or the gentle lapping of water against a boat's hull. They seemed to be just at the edge of comprehension, a tantalizing mix of fear and intrigue. But as the days wore on, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. They became voices, a chorus of murmurs that seemed to float on the air, filling the Bell home with an eerie symphony of unseen chatter. The family, once the epitome of tranquility and harmony, was now living in a state of constant fear and confusion. Sleep became a luxury, the darkness of the night offering no respite from the ceaseless whisperings and strange sounds. The Bells, once revered in their community, were now the unwilling hosts of an unseen menace, a ghostly presence that seemed intent on turning their lives into a waking nightmare. Things were about to take a chilling turn for the Bell family. As the hauntings grew in intensity, a menacing entity made herself known. The entity, referring to herself as the Bell Witch, began to manifest in more tangible, terrifying ways. This wasn't just a ghostly whisper in the night or a fleeting shadow in the corner of one's eye. No, the Bell Witch was a force to be reckoned with. The entity was not shy about her intentions. She focused her malicious energy on two members of the Bell family in particular, the patriarch, John Bell, and his youngest daughter Betsy. She would assail them with physical attacks, the likes of which were unseen in the realm of the supernatural. The Bell Witch was not content with simply haunting. She was intent on causing actual harm. John Bell would suffer bouts of severe discomfort, as if an unseen force was gripping him by the throat, choking the life out of him. He would gasp for air, struggling against a foe that could not be seen, let alone fought against. His body would seize up, his face would contort in pain, and all the while, the invisible tormentor reveled in his suffering. Betsy Bell, on the other hand, endured a different kind of torment. The Bell Witch took a perverse pleasure in pulling Betsy's hair and slapping her face. The young girl would cry out in pain and fear, her screams echoing through the house. Her family could only watch in horror as invisible hands struck their daughter, leaving marks that were all too visible. The entity that identified herself as the Bell Witch was not just a spectral apparition. She was a physical presence, a malevolent force that could touch, harm, and terrorize. She was a ghost, yes, but she was more than that. She was a witch. A creature of evil that had set her sights on the Bell family. And as the family huddled together in fear, one thing was clear. The terror was far from over. The Bell Witch was not an ordinary entity. She possessed powers that left the family and their community in shock. Let's delve into some of the extraordinary abilities she was said to have. One of the most unsettling was her ability to shapeshift. This wasn't your typical transformation into a black cat or a wolf under the moonlight. No, the Bell Witch could take on any form she desired. One moment she might be a harmless rabbit in the yard, and the next a large black dog with glowing eyes, ready to strike fear into the hearts of those who dared to cross her path. But her shape-shifting abilities were just the tip of the iceberg. The Bell Witch was also believed to have an uncanny knowledge of events happening far beyond the confines of the Bell family's farm. She could recount in vivid detail happenings from across the country or even from across the ocean, events that the Bells had no way of knowing. This was in the early 19th century, mind you, a time when news traveled at a snail's pace. Yet the Bell Witch seemed to have her very own supernatural newswire. Perhaps most disturbing of all was her ability to mimic people's voices. It was as if she could tap into the very essence of a person, copying not just their tone and inflection, but also their mannerisms and style of speech. Imagine hearing your own voice or the voice of a loved one coming from thin air, repeating your conversations, revealing your secrets. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? These powers combined to create a formidable and terrifying presence. The Bell Witch was a master manipulator, an entity that could shape reality to her will, and instill fear in the bravest of hearts. And while her powers were indeed horrifying, they were indiscriminate, used to torment all members of the Bell family. But the Bell Witch had a particular vendetta against one member of the family. John Bell, the patriarch of the Bell family, was a particular target for the Bell Witch's wrath. This was a man of stature and respect within his community, but to the Bell Witch he was a nemesis, an object of her relentless fury. The witch's hatred for John Bell was palpable. It wasn't just the constant torment she subjected him to, but the way his health seemed to deteriorate under the strain of the supernatural attacks. He was once a robust man, full of vitality, but as the hauntings intensified, his strength waned, his once ruddy complexion turned sallow, his stride lost its vigor, and his voice, once booming and authoritative, dwindled to a mere whisper. It was as if the witch was draining the very life out of him. The events leading to John's death were shrouded in mystery and suspicion. He was found lifeless in his bed one morning, a vial of a strange, dark liquid by his bedside. The family doctor could not identify the substance, but the witch, in her chilling, disembodied voice, claimed it was her doing. She boasted of having fed John a dose of her lethal concoction, a claim that sent a chill down the spine of everyone present. It was a terrifying testament to the witch's malevolent powers. John's death was a shock to the community, a loss that seemed to validate the fearsome reputation of the Bell Witch. There was no natural explanation for his sudden demise, no medical condition that could account for his rapid decline. The only plausible explanation, as horrifying as it was, pointed to the supernatural, to the Bell Witch herself. The Bell family was left grieving, their patriarch taken from them in the most unsettling of circumstances. The community mourned with them, the air heavy with sadness and fear. With John Bell's death, the worst was thought to be over, but was it really? The Bell Witch had claimed her victory, but her reign of terror was far from finished. It was just the beginning of a haunting legacy that would endure for centuries to come. The Bell Witch left an indelible mark on the family and the community. The aftermath of the hauntings was a time of quiet dread, as the family tried to piece together their lives. Betsy Bell, who had once been the primary target of the witch's torment, found solace in the arms of her childhood friend, later marrying him. She lived a long life, though one can only imagine the shadows that lingered in her mind from those haunting years. The legacy of the Bell Witch, however, is far from confined to the Bell family or even Adams, Tennessee. The tale of the Bell Witch has seeped into the fabric of American folklore, weaving a chilling narrative of supernatural powers and a vengeful spirit. The story continues to be told and retold, each version casting a different light on the spectral figure of the Bell Witch. Books have been written, films have been made, and even a cave in Adams has been named after the witch. This cave, now a popular tourist attraction, is often cited as the witch's lair, adding another layer of mystery to the legend. The Bell Witch, once a haunting presence in a family's life, has become a symbol of the unknown, a reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the next. So the next time you hear a strange noise in the night, remember the tale of the Bell Witch.